Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Chris. I play guitar in Softspoken, here to talk to you a little bit about our latest release, The Road. Burn to ashes, all the world is gone. I think one of the coolest things with how our band operates is that we each kind of have an equal input when it comes to creating the songs. There are three main members in our band, and all of us kind of have musical capabilities and skills outside of what we do when we perform live. So even though I play guitar live, I also have a lot of input when it comes to lyrics. And then same with Billy, he plays guitar, but he has a lot of really great melody ideas. And then Sam sings, but he's also a very good guitarist. And I think having that kind of balance between the three of us really helps when we're in the studio. If one person hits a brick wall, so to speak, with their creativity, one of the other two of us is there. And kind of in the past with a lot of our other releases, we especially Pathways, the first release we did as a band, it was a lot of Billy and I kind of writing half and half on every song. Like kind of he would write a part and then I would write a part over it. But with these latest songs on our new EP, it was a lot different. There was a couple songs that kind of did that same old way that we've done it. Our last song, Sleight of Hand, was about 98% Billy. The only thing I added to that song was the lead and the chorus. And then on this new song, The Road, the majority of that song was me. In terms of what the song is about, The Road takes its name from a book of the same name called The Road, written by Cormac McCarthy. But The Road, as a story, takes place in a post-apocalyptic world. It's in the United States. You don't really get any information about what happened to make the world, go to crap. You just kind of follow this journey of a father and a son as they're on a road trying to get to the ocean. I don't want to give away too much about what happens in the book. It's amazing. I definitely recommend that you read it. But lyrically, basically the entire song is based on the events of the book. Music is obviously very much attached to emotions, and anytime someone goes to write, most of the time when someone goes to write, they're getting out something that they're feeling or that they're thinking or they're stressed about or angry about or happy about. And for me personally, at that point in time when I wrote The Road, or what would become The Road, it was just after we had gotten back from our tour, the release tour for our last album, Depth Perception, which was in summer of 2019. And I don't know, maybe you've heard of a term called tour blues, which is definitely something that exists. But it's kind of just like it's like a little depression that can hit people, musicians, touring artists, after they get home and they kind of have to readjust to life back at home after having been on the road for a period of time. In some sense, the Road title kind of carries that double meaning of being on the road ourselves as musicians and getting from point A to point B. Initially, before I really had the concept of the book influencing the lyrics, I was just writing. And at that time, I was living in a smaller apartment and not in the house that I'm in now. And I have a toddler. He was 2 at the time. He's 3 now. But just because of the space and where he slept in relation to where I would play music, I wasn't really able to play loudly at all. I definitely couldn't use my speakers. But even sometimes if I just strummed like as hard as I want to, that would it would kind of stress me out, I guess. It kind of I would be aware of it and I wouldn't really perform as well as I wanted to. So what I ended up doing to work around that was using programming. I used a plug-in, some software on my computer to where I could basically write the guitar parts that I wanted, just everything completely in the computer. I could use headphones and not worry about waking anybody up. So The Road, the initial demo of that song, exists as a completely programmed song. It's a little bit different than the final version that you've heard. The chorus chord progression changed just a little bit, but for the most part, it's the same song. And there was just one day when I was in that same room cleaning my bookshelf, which you can see part of behind me here, just dusting books, and I saw The Road, and I hadn't read it for, I don't know, probably 10 years. I was like, I'm going to read this book again. And for me personally, when there's a book or a movie or a game or TV show or whatever it is that has just like a story that really impacts me, that I really like, I usually don't revisit it for a period of time, almost on purpose, because when I do go back and revisit it, I like for it to be as close to a first experience as it can be. I almost purposefully want to forget small details so that I can go back and, kind of pick that stuff up again and kind of have a fresh approach. So I was happy to kind of revisit this book that I had read when I was in college. And it was just as good as the first time, but on an emotional level, I connected to it in a different way that I hadn't initially, from the fact that I am now a father and I have a son. And, as I mentioned, the book itself is about a father and a son. And really, it's about maintaining hope despite the world just not existing. And the father is really dealing with a lot of his own depression and his own demons, and also dealing with the demons of all of these other people in the world that are trying to harm him and his son. So he's trying to preserve the goodness of his son, of his still innocent son, while also being bad in a sense. He has to do things that are not good in order to protect the goodness of his son. And it's just kind of the irony there is really makes you think, what would you do in that situation? And so that's kind of what I did, when I got initially I had the melody idea that goes with the chorus, and now she rises, was the first thing that kind of came to me, and I wrote the chorus kind of idea first, and just kind of fit words in, and then eventually I was like, this is what I want this song to be about. So the song lyrically is from the point of view of the father, and in the book they don't have names, it's just the father and the child, or the son. I tried to use as much of the language and kind of mechanisms, I guess, that are in the book as I could in the lyrics, and I wanted to kind of use the right words to paint a picture of what the world is like, but also kind of the desperation and, I guess, sadness in a way that the main character feels throughout the book, or at least that's how I interpreted it. So with all of that out of the way, what the song's about, I'm honestly pretty proud of the lyrics, and Sam and his delivery really makes them come to life. Without him singing it the way that he sings it, with all the emotion that he has, they would just be words on a page. So definitely cannot understate the impact that he had on how the song hits as a whole. But I do want to kind of jump in just to the lyrics and kind of explain how I crafted them, and kind of what it all means. Obviously, opening up the first verse, burn to ashes, all the world is gone, is obviously just setting the scene of what the world is like. And then love put a gun to her head. So in the story, the father and the son are by themselves, but there are mentions of the mother, and you over time learn that the mother committed suicide sometime previously, and it was mostly because she just couldn't handle what had happened to the world. It's been a minute now since I read the book, but when the world collapsed, basically she was pregnant with their son, and she having postpartum depression is definitely a thing for women who are pregnant and giving birth. And it doesn't really go into super specific details of what happened, but you do learn that she committed suicide and kind of left the father and the son. So in this first stanza, basically, burn to ashes, all the world is gone, love put a gun to her head, is kind of the father thinking back about about losing his love. Darkened clouds blocking out the sun, thinking now on things unsaid. So I'm kind of line by line juxtaposing the setting of the world to what the father is thinking in his head. And then obviously the line there is afloat in my own head. So very much the main character, the narrator, is dealing with his own internal issues while also having to survive in a destroyed world. So then the chorus is, and now she rests, I'm holding pieces of the love that's left. One of the main things I did with the lyrics was using the word love to kind of tie together the son and the mother. So in the first verse, we have love put a gun to her head. So obviously that's referring to his wife. And then that second line of the chorus, I'm holding pieces of the love that's left, is both like, a figurative statement, but also it's talking literally about the Son is a piece of the love, if that makes sense. He is love born out of love. So in some ways the love has continued. And then I won't lose hope again, telling him to mind his step, obviously telling his son to be careful as I try to stay afloat in my own head. And then the next line, we carry the fire, but my legs are weak. There's a theme throughout the book of carrying fire, and kind of the meaning of that changes throughout the story. In the beginning, it's in reference to the gun that they're carrying, and the gun only has 2 bullets that are meant for the son and the father if something were to happen. And the father refuses to use the gun, but anytime the son gets scared, he tells his son, we're carrying the fire, but we're good guys. And that's a theme that kind of keeps going throughout the book. But obviously the father is tired, and then, how can I save my love? So that's in reference to the son is the love in that section. And then kind of in the next verse, it kind of mimics the pattern of the first verse that opens the song. But daylight falls, we await the dawn, follow the road to the sea. In the book, as I mentioned, they're on a road trying to get to the sea is kind of their goal. Love gave up, said she can't go on, is in reference to the mother. And then 2 clicks, she says, will set us free, is in reference, obviously, to the sound of a gun firing. And in my dreams, she's calling me. So one of the weirder, and I would say darker moments of the book itself are these dream sequences that the father has. And a lot of them he's visited kind of by the mother, or by visions of the world as it existed before it was destroyed. And there are sections where the mother is essentially trying to convince the father to commit suicide himself so that they can be together. But he has to fight. Basically, it's his own brain trying to trick him, and he has to fight that because he knows that he needs to take care of his son. And then we go back into the chorus, and then into the first part of the bridge. Kind of touches on the dreams again. In my dreams, she's calling me, baby, just stay asleep. You don't have to leave. Drowning in my thoughts again. So it's kind of the father dealing internally with these issues. And we go back into the chorus, and then kind of the outro section. We carry the fire, but my legs are weak. My body is tired. How can I save my love? And then I bring in the fire metaphor again, but change it in the same way that it does in the book. And it says, you carry the fire, keep it in your heart, let it burn so bright wherever you are. And kind of what that means, and those are lines from the end of the book, and I'm not going to give exact details of what happens there, but it's kind of saying that the fire isn't a gun, and isn't the combustion that happens when you fire a weapon, but it's the fire of hope. Carrying hope and carrying goodness is the fire that needs to spread in a sense. The book doesn't really say that, but it's very much implied. You can kind of infer that from the situation and everything. And it's a really powerful moment. It's one of those whoa moments when you're reading a book or watching a movie, and it kind of gets you. And I thought that was really important to put into the song. And that's kind of the note that this song ends on. So even though it's kind of sad and desperate, really the main, sentiment behind it is that there is hope regardless of how bad things can get. And I think that's really important to remember, especially in today's world with, how everything is currently with the pandemic and whatnot. But yeah, so thanks for sitting through that long, detailed explanation of The Road. I'm a person that when I dive into, anything, especially music and lyrics, I just love to know everything about what inspired that piece of art. So having the chance now to explain everything that went into it is kind of a cool moment for me. So hopefully you enjoyed all of that insight and the background into The Road. Definitely stay tuned for more videos like this as we release the other songs on our new EP, Where the Heart Belongs. And definitely keep streaming The Road on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. The music video is great. Yeah, thanks so much for your support. And if there's any other behind the scenes kind of extra content that you would like to see, definitely let us know. Stay soft-spoken. Daylight falls.